Howdy there, gang. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another album review. It's time to tackle the debut studio album by Canadian singer-songwriter Lauren Spencer Smith. This one is entitled Mirror. Lauren Spencer Smith, a 19-20-year-old American Idol alum who has, in the last year and a half, really gained a lot of traction commercially through TikTok and stuff like that. Well known for her many Instagram song covers in parking lots and stuff like that. I would go as far as to wager she is probably the most commercially successful Idol alum since Scotty McCreery, and going even farther, the most successful Idol alum who didn't win since Chris Daughtry. So this album was preceded by 7 singles, including the very commercially successful "Fingers Crossed" and "Flowers." Two songs that I honestly really connected to. I enjoyed the earnest and evident pain and ache in her vocal delivery and in the songwriting. I mean, and she definitely has an ear for smarter pop tendencies. Like it's so easy to write about romantic relationships, but what about those friendships that break up? Sometimes those hurt even more, and I've been there. So I definitely empathized and connected with songs like "Fingers Crossed" and "Flowers." Even if I wasn't interpreting it or I wasn't connecting with it the exact same way as she did when she wrote it, but getting into the songwriting, it's definitely easy to identify that the songwriting here is inspired by the likes of Taylor Swift. Many of today's premier female pop stars, Olivia Rodrigo, Lauren, Billie Eilish, and others, have made it clear in no uncertain terms that Taylor Swift has influenced their songwriting, but I think some of them maybe don't quite measure up to her. Now, is that just the fault of young age? Perhaps, though that would fly in the face of the wisdom beyond years one normally solicits from modern girl pop, which is today a lot more rudimentary in production and presentation than when Taylor Swift was first bursting onto the scene in the late 2000s. I think about a song like Tim McGraw by Taylor Swift, which she wrote in math class when she was a freshman, and then she released in '06 when she was 17 years old. Taylor Swift wrote that song about a senior boy she was dating as a freshman girl, and she was under no illusions that he would graduate, go to college, and they would break up. Those freshman girl senior boy relationships just don't last, and for good reason. They're kind of creepy too. But yeah, I think of a song like that. That is, even though that's obviously more in the country realm than pop, obviously. That is one of the smartest and most brilliantly, honestly, written songs from a teenage pop star that I personally have ever seen. Um, but that's where we get into one of the issues I guess I have. Is there some often hackneyed songwriting, or hackneyed, however you pronounce it. So we'll start with the song like "Never Been in Love," the opening track, where Lauren toys with the variety of vocal flourishes. When she's not timbering in those lower registers, she's leaning more on her alto and other places. It's backed by simple guitars, keys, and drum loops, and an understated melancholy, and she readily admits that she's probably too young to yearn for the kind of love historically reserved for people much older than her. And then you have a song like "Love is an Overstatement," which is aided by her distinct delivery. She's got a great voice and some interesting, if subdued, compositions. It does kind of retrace the guitar pop stylings of its immediate predecessor, but on the song's bridge and the outro, for instance, she again showcases a good ear for smarter tendencies. Gail and M. Byhold lend their talents to the song "Fantasy," and the resulting track is an engaging and sometimes shimmering piece of dark pop. On what we've dissected so far, this seems to be the most in step with the conventions of 2010s pop, relying pretty much exclusively on beats, electronics, and stuff like that. And then we get to a song like "28," which is a very interesting cut. The lyrics outwardly elucidate the sins of this guy who is dating way outside the appropriate age range, but not in the way you'd expect. Lauren betokens from the perspective of a young teenage romantic who just got tossed aside for a grown ass woman who's twice her age. Out there, yes. Palpably performed, sort of. Again, going back to that whole concept of wisdom beyond years, Lauren no doubt solicits that kind of persona from me, but this kind of almost hackneyed writing cuts against that. She gives it her all, and the instruments kind of employ some gritty pop punk vibes on the outro, but her, in reality, being much older than the song's protagonist makes it difficult for me to imagine her slipping into the role so easily. On Bigger Person, she laments that she's the only one putting effort into the relationship, and while she no doubt sells the emotional baggage she carries, it's certainly not a trope that hasn't been explored before. That part is cute enough. Lauren, again, has no trouble convincing me that her heart is in it, but not without checking off all of the usual boxes: white picket fence, arch around the entrance. Sure, she even admits it is a bit cliched, but she still goes down that path. I'd say this album suffers from predictable songwriting, repetitive song structures and ideas, and the lack of a core identity. Lauren certainly has the vocal chops to be one of the eminent pop stars of the next few years, but she's got an advantage that many of those who came before her did not have. She's coming up in an era where female fronted pop music is consumed like gospel, sometimes in large doses of mindless sycophantism. Perhaps on her next album or whatever she chooses to do next, she will maybe take more and I'm not saying she has to reinvent the wheel. Perhaps she'll take more chances in the future, but given her social media popularity at present and her evident commercial potency, I have no reason to believe that she won't unbox herself from this niche. I'm going to give Mirror by Lauren Spencer Smith a 3 out of 5. Let me know what you think about the album in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified when a video drops. And we will see you here on the next one. Take care.